Good morning and welcome to episode number 329 of Simplifying Live with me, Shashank Nigam, your host and the CEO of Simplifying. Yesterday, I had to go apply for my UK visa because that was coming to expire. For many of you in the Western world, you may not know what it is like to apply for a visa. But for most people who are born or brought up in the developing world, they know exactly what it's like. It's sort of a humiliating process for most people who are not privileged enough to be born in a developed country. For example, you need to show that you have no criminal records. That's fair, but you have to show everything from your rental agreement to your past tax filings to your bank account balance for the last 3 months. You need a letter from your existing employer. You need a letter from your invitational, the person who's bringing you into that country. And by the way, it costs a lot. The last time I paid over £1,500 for my UK visa, and this time it cost me almost $500, just for a single entry, by the way. And this is a process, many people are familiar with, but yet many are not. And yesterday's experience, I applied for my UK visa here in Toronto at the VFS application center. It was nothing short of frustrating. My appointment was for 1:40 p.m. I finally got to see the officer and was done with the whole process at 5:30 p.m. The first time I got to see the officer, by the way, was around 4:30 p.m. Pretty much 3 hours after I was meant to see the officer. And this is just document verification, by the way. VFS is a company that the UK government has outsourced all visa processing to. So they will verify all the documents for them, send it to the UK, get the visa, and the passport is sent back. So it saves the UK government a lot of money and effort and time savings as well. But for the customer, instead of getting a better service, it's quite bad, to put it mildly. We waited for about 3 hours, everyone did. Many of them students going to Oxford and Cambridge, many of them businessmen who were paying up to $2,000 for a priority rush visa to go the next week. $2,000, by the way. That's much more than an economy class ticket round trip to London from most cities in the world. So just think about this to put it in context. I wasn't as frustrated because I've done this a million times for the countries that I've been to, 65 of them now. But there was a gentleman behind me who had landed a job in the UK. He had flown in from Halifax just for the day, only to realize that he has to pay another $350 to get the visa in 15 days. By the way, the UK website says that the visa is being granted in 15 days, but what you find out there at the VFS center is, oh, that's 15 working days, which means 3 to 4 weeks, and it's peak season, so it might take even longer. The guy was screwed. He just couldn't take it, and he had a long argument, a polite long argument being that he's from Nova Scotia, but an argument nonetheless that he was being cheated. When he asked for an email address, the officer did not give one to send feedback to. Now you might take this as a rant, but this is a bit bigger. I do believe strongly, deep within my heart, having traveled on 98 airlines now, that we can do with a dose of humanity in air travel. In travel. Why do we need to treat people like it's them versus us? I mean, how many times have you reached late to a counter, a check-in counter, only to be given a glare by the check-in agent like, come on, can't you make it on time? There is very seldom that there is understanding. And it's not just humanity towards the customers. I think we need a bit more humanity towards the airline staff themselves. Airlines need to treat staff better, who will then treat customers better. I remember a few years ago, I met a friend of mine, a childhood friend of mine, who now is a pilot, a cargo pilot with a leading Asian airline. And he said, you know what, as a pilot, is always them versus us. I'm the union. I'm part of the union because it's them versus us. I know that the airline will not take care of my interests. And that's quite sad, because if the pilots believe they need to be unionized to have their interests taken care of, that's not just a 60s mentality, that reflects the sad reality of the airline industry. Why is it that Starbucks can retain more employees than anyone else in the coffee business? And that's because if you are working for Starbucks for more than 20 hours a week, 20 hours a week, I believe it is, and that at that time, Starbucks will actually pay for your college education. Simple. In China, Starbucks has extended health coverage to the parents, not just the Starbucks baristas themselves. If Starbucks as a brand can go above and beyond, why can't airlines who are making billions in profits right now? Forget about whether there are profits or not. Why not make humanity a part of the airline mission? Ultimately, we are all connecting travelers with one another. We are making the world smaller. The travel industry has a noble goal. We can all do with a bit more of humanity in it. Learn from airlines like Southwest, which follows the Golden Circle rule, which I've shared in my book Soar. The Golden Circle, according to Colleen Barrett, is the company takes care of its employees. The employees take care of the people, the customers, and the customers take care of the shareholders, not the other way around. We keep seeing airlines introducing basic fares, spinning it off as something good for customers, providing choice. I mean, that's just spin. Having spent the last 10 years in airline marketing, I can tell you it is spin, and most customers are intelligent enough to look beyond that. I do believe the time is right for an airline or a bunch of airlines to infuse a bit more of humanity into travel, and they will do well in the long term by doing so. Let me know what you think. I'd love to hear your thoughts on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, or YouTube. I'll catch you tomorrow. Till then, have a great one. Bye-bye.